Good night, everybody, and welcome once again to another LimeVibe Live podcast. I'm your host, the great one, Yuri Camp, along with the ever beautiful Miss Kimberly Ramcalawan from Trinidad and Tobago. Hi, Kim, how are you doing?
Hi, Yuri. I'm fine. How's everyone out there?
Everyone's good. Everyone's good. We just wrapped up this CARICOM meeting today. They had the closing ceremony this afternoon. Lots to talk about tonight, Kim. So tell me, how's things going over in Trinidad before we start? How's things going over there with you?
It's fantastic Friday here in Trinidad right now. That's the carnival. That's the Friday before Carnival. It's jam-packed with activities. It signals the start of the long weekend ahead. This morning we kicked off the reenactment of Canberra riots, which is how Carnival started here in Trinidad.
Really?
It was the enslaved. They fought for their rights to have their masquerade because they would have been influenced by the French. And the British colonizers of the time. They were preventing it despite they being freed. That was the Canberra riots of 1881. And here in Trinidad, they were freed since 1838. The abolition of slavery came about in 1838 here in Trinidad. Quite in 1881, they weren't free to celebrate and practice their culture, which was the Carnival festivities here.
And it's a shame that everyone just associates Carnival now with basically just reveling in the streets, don't they? Right? Do most people really accept the history behind Carnival in Trinidad? I don't know.
No, and this morning, one of the main organizers of it, Etu Springer, she's a cultural activist here in Trinidad. She spoke to those who were gathered after the reenactment. It's a theatrical play put on, reenacting the riots that occurred, and how, the story behind it. It was a play that was produced by I think Tony Hall, Northern Nottingham, I believe, and those are all cultural intellectuals here in Trinidad. Tony Hall died in 2020, of course, and John Cupid, he was one of the cultural pioneers here in Trinidad as well.
Yeah,
they put on this play, and it tells the story of Carnival, and not much people know about it. And she was saying, why isn't this part of our educational curriculum? Many of the children that are in theater and portraying these things, they aren't aware of their history because Emancipation Day falls on August 1st here in Trinidad when school break is on. That's July, August holiday here in Trinidad. And the syllabus isn't really solidifying our emancipation history. So it's something, they're trying to bring awareness to here in Trinidad.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. I spoke to another one of your cultural activists, Rubadiri Victor.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's in charge of the Pantheon until 2023. But they displayed large costumes, and he's educating Trinidadians and the wider Caribbean about the history behind those large costumes. And there's work that goes into those, man.
It's quite an extraordinary skill, and a lot of the masked men that produce these wide it's really these beautiful extensive costumes that it's large. It's a lot of skill that goes into the wire bending and creating and coming up with these themes for Carnival each year. And a lot of these guys that are responsible for making these large, vast creations are dying, and no one's taking up the skill.
Wow, it's not something that people pass down?
No.
Like for example, here in the Bahamas, we have a Junkanoo Museum where you can actually go and you can learn how to make these costumes. You can learn about the music and all the history behind Junkanoo.
But establishing things like that. There's now a Carnival Institute that's being established, that has been established. And Rubadiri, what he's trying, I mean, obviously, one house is probably the size of those large costumes that along. It's like these, apart from being floats, it takes skill too to dance with and move your body to the music with that amount of weight, carrying that and depicting the story and telling the story as well.
So what exactly is a Moko Jumbi?
A Moko Jumbi is a dance on
A dance on silks. Okay.
silks, yeah.
Okay.
So that's different. But that is a skill by itself. We've got someone named Junior Bisnat here in San Fernando. He has been passing that tradition on to the younger generation and teaching a lot of them. At one point, he was having a summer camp where he invited his students, the younger generation, from as early as 6 years old, because it takes a development of your skill to balance on those stilts.
Yes.
And with the motion, the wind, and the elements and everything. So that's part of our carnival. There's so many traditional characters. I think it was night before. Wednesday night, there was the parade of the traditional masked characters, which is like the Dame Lorraine, the minstrels, the midnight robber, and those traditional carnival costumes that would have come out from the era of Candlelight riots. They were really trying to depict folklore in costume, as well as the characters that would have come out with them teasing and mocking the French colonizers and the colonizers. Like the Dame Lorraine. It's Dame Lorraine. Yes, it's gone into that. And how they say it, because it's a woman with a big, huge butt dressed in the traditional corset and fancy dress. And she's got the long wig with the curls and everything. Like that.
Okay. That's cool. So you guys are set for a lot of fun and frolic in the next week or so.
Until Tuesday, yes. And then Ash Wednesday, everyone goes to mass.
Yeah, to pray for the sins before they go into the rest of the season, right? The rest of the year. Well, that's good. But we have your prime minister over there. I think he left today, actually. Keith Rowley. He left today from the CARICOM Heads government meeting here.
I believe so, because it's not too long wrapped up. I'm not sure.
Yeah. They just finished the closing ceremony. He may leave tomorrow. I'm not sure. I'm saying that because I'm thinking that he would have left to go back home already today. But yeah. So they're just not wrapping up today with the CARICOM Heads government meeting, Kim. Any key takeaways from that this year? They touched on a few things though.
I think the Bridgetown Initiative was one of them that trumped everything. It's the first time CARICOM leaders are coming together since Mia Motley put forward that. She's the brainchild of the Bridgetown Initiative, along with Professor Avinash Prasad. They are championing, and they've gotten through actually because of what they've drafted. They've basically laid the blueprint for how Caribbean countries, small island developing states, can access concessional financing with from these international financing agencies such as the IMF and the World Bank. And what it allows them to do is negotiate. They are able to negotiate better terms in which they access funding that would help them build resiliency against climate change. And
so what came out of the CARICOM meeting as a result of it? Did all the Caribbean countries sign on to it, or what happened to it?
I believe they were now discussing it. It's a blueprint for many governments to look at. She's laid the blueprint for them to see how it works for their countries. So it probably better educates each country as to how they can access this kind of financing as well. While at the same time, what it allows is them to access the loans for a longer period. They're able to borrow against their reserves, I believe, in such a way that despite all the disasters that they would face, which usually sets them back, which usually sets back economies and how they bounce back and recover, that does not affect them going forward, because sometimes it damages them more. So this time they're allowed to go into like 20 years repayment.
Because that's important for a lot of small developing states. She's done a lot of work with the IMF and the World Bank with regard to getting this done. I've been watching that over the past 2 years now, and she's done a significant amount of work with regard to this. So kudos to Ms. Motley for at least arranging this Bridgetown initiative, and whoever the economists are behind the scenes that were helping her to get it done. That's going to be important for a lot of developing states moving forward, Kim. Because I don't know how it is in Trinidad, but here in the Bahamas, we had a problem with us accessing finance as well, because they say that we are above the threshold to access this finance, whereas of course we're not. Of course we need the finance. Of course we are developing. So I think the World Bank and the IMF and the IDB, they need to reassess their whole entire model. And this Bridgetown initiative would go a long way with regards to helping smaller developing states like ourselves to access this financing without having to go through the rigors of these international development agencies. And that's a key step, because we need the financing, especially after hurricanes, and we've been damaged by now even volcanoes and earthquakes. If we talk about St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we need access to financing in a better, more secure way that does not put us in debt and does not put us at the back of the line in terms of developing states, quote unquote. So yeah, so that's a Bridgetown initiative. What else happened? I think they also spoke about Haiti as well, didn't they?
I think, yeah, as we predicted, as we said, Haiti was going to take over a lot of their conversation this afternoon, this evening at the closing press conference. A lot of questions posed by the reporters were centered around whether Haiti or whether CARICOM should stand by Haiti in ensuring, in clamoring France for reparations that would help them recover and build.
I think Roosevelt Scared responded that, and he said that yes, we should. We've been standing together with entire committee throughout the Caribbean countries with regard to a reparations committee trying to get reparations from France for Haiti. And I think that's important as well. But France just keeps turning a deaf ear to it, and that was their mess. They started in Haiti, didn't they?
Yeah, and they're the ones. I mean, Martinique is the other country. Martinique, we had spoken about this a few weeks ago. Martinique was the other French colonized nation, and they're making Martinique pay, and the people are suffering.
Yeah. But Martinique is still a protectorate, aren't they? They're still under the French. They're still a French colony, so they're not independent yet.
Yeah. So it's a matter, but the thing is, what they are demanding, this amount of funds, revenue from these countries. They are taking their revenue streams and pulling it for their benefit, but the people aren't getting anything out of it.
Yeah. Quite a shame. And I was shocked that Haiti, after they fought for their independence and they spilled blood for their independence, they were still paying France. If you kicked France out, why were you still paying them? That's beyond my comprehension. Would you think that the United States would have been paying the United Kingdom any reparations for being kicked out of United? Of course not. So why was Haiti even paying that to France over all these years? That sounds like a corrupt deal to me. That sounds like some other people were benefiting from that, not just the French. That sounds like a corrupt regime, a corrupt setup by the Haitian people and by some other persons who are benefiting from that other than France. That's just my take on it. Because I couldn't see an independent country that fought for their independence with blood and picked out a colonizer like that and still paying them after all these years. That had to be a scam. That's my take.
No, I mean, I agree with you there, and I honestly think it's about time these countries take responsibility for what they've done to these nations.
Yes.
Netherlands was the first nation. I saw that it was open to reparations. They came out last year as to how much it was a show. It so happened to have coincided with what the United Nations was putting on in Geneva last year, because it was celebrating the decade of, the International Decade of People of African Descent. And the Dutch decided, hey, we need to take responsibility for our actions when it came to the slave trade. And Suriname in our region being a big part of that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Suriname later on this evening, though. Because they're going through some problems right now. And out of all the CARICOM leaders that made it to the Bahamas for the CARICOM heads of government meeting, their president, Chan Santoki, the president of Suriname, he could not make it because they're having some challenges there in Suriname. But we're going to talk about that coming towards the end. Let's finish talking about this CARICOM heads of government meeting, though. So in addition to that, a bombshell came out, Kim. The Prime Minister of Canada, he pledged assistance for Haiti. In addition to that, he also pledged the Canadian Navy is going to come down to Haiti and be off the coast of Haiti to help monitor the situation and give surveillance without having to intervene. And so that's a significant step. So, because the next step would have been actually going into Haiti, which would have taken doing a lot more United Nations approvals and that kind of stuff, right? So they just couldn't send Navy and military personnel into Haiti. So they had to send a battleship around the edges, around the coast of Haiti, so they could monitor the situation. And so they could see if anything's happening. And they also promised that they're not going to stop any ships leaving Haiti, with migrants leaving Haiti to other countries. They're not going to stop, and they're going to be an immigration force, and that's key. So they're just going to monitor Haiti. So that's good. I think Canada's taking the first step. I think that's a great step for Haiti. Now we just need the United States to put their weight behind Canada and go and ram through any kind of resolution through the United Nations to get help there for Haiti. Because also from the CARICOM meetings as well, Prime Minister Philip Davis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, he said that they have discussed organizing a task force where they're going to help set up and support Haitian police officers inside Haiti. They have to keep the peace in Haiti. So there's some significant steps happening today in CARICOM, Kim. So they're getting their heads around, they're getting slowly towards it. And you know, the diplomatic chain, it takes a while to start getting moving, right? And they have to go through all this paperwork, and they have to talk, and they have to talk to this one, they have to, walk papers through hallways and this and that. And that's even before you get to the UN. So in saying that, some significant things happened for Haiti today, at least during this meeting for CARICOM.
I think your Prime Minister, Philip Brave, he said we can see some of the effects of these things that were discussed in CARICOM. We can see the effects within the next 3 weeks. So in the next 3 weeks, we ought to check up as to what has been implemented in Haiti and what has been achieved and done,
Yeah, we will follow. We will absolutely follow that. So we have to hold them to that word, because sometimes they do talk and they do have empty rhetoric. So let's just ensure that it does happen. And also from Canada as well. Well, before we get to that, in addition to Haiti, Ariel Henry is here as well. The Prime Minister of Haiti was here as well. And he, kind of enjoyed himself, but he kind of like stood in the background. He didn't get involved in much of the conversations. And he wasn't like the topic of discussion, even though he was here and they spoke about Haiti. He wasn't the topic of discussion, which is key, because really and truly, a lot of people don't realize he is not really an elected member of the Haitian government. He was appointed by the former president, Jovenel Moise, before he was assassinated. But Claude Joseph was the prime minister before Ariel Henry. And he was supposed to take over after Claude Joseph, but the assassination happened with Jovenel Moise, and Jovenel Moise didn't have a chance to actually put Ariel Henry in the prime minister's position. And so they were going under this assumption that Ariel Henry is supposed to be the heir presumptive of the prime minister. Yeah. And so he's not even a selected member. So who do we have then in Haiti? Who's running Haiti? We have someone who's not even a representative of, a reflection of the people of Haiti. So wow, it's such a mess.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a mess, isn't it? Oh my goodness, it's more problems you can actually think about, man. And so now they're threatening to have elections now again in November this year. And so everyone's gearing up towards that. I have spoken to one candidate thus far. He's an engineer. He's living out of Miami, Florida right now, Jude Ellie. And he's been, moving forward with his campaign, gathering the international support and the forces to get his people moving on the ground in Haiti. He's been back to Haiti back and forth over the last 6 months or so, really getting his campaign together. I'm not sure how much work he can do now that the country is actually in turmoil and upheaval, but I wish him all the best. And I'm waiting to see the rest of the candidates as well. And I'm wondering if Prime Minister Henry is going to actually run for president of Haiti. You think so? He hasn't announced yet. I think after this season, when the country was turned upside down under his watch, I think he's going to leave that alone. I think sometimes you want what you can't have, and you want something that you think you want, but when you actually get it, you actually can't handle it. I think this is one of those situations where he wanted power, and he realizes now it's not really what it's cracked up to be, because just about 3 months ago, too, he was under an assassination attempt himself. He was coming outside of a church, and he had to run through the streets in Haiti to get away from assassins' bullets. So here we have it. Country's broken down, but at least CARICOM tried to deliver some sort of semblance, some semblance of decency and some order to the Haitian situation. They're going to actually do something this time. So let's stick with them, Kim.
I think I heard that they said that they were going to convene a meeting with some of the stakeholders in Haiti to see what they can do to restore some security and rule of law in the country. Yeah, I'm not sure what other stakeholders they're going to engage in, but as you said, we wait and see.
Just stay away from the old bad woman. That's all. Because that's what he's going to Haiti for, right? Yeah, that's what he's going to Haiti for, to get the old bad woman and to get the old bad man and to do whatever they have to do to win their elections, right? And that's a running joke in the Caribbean. They tease all the Caribbean leaders who go down to Haiti. They go to see the old bad woman or the old bad man.
Yeah, I remember when Prime Minister Manning went, that was the first thing that he said.
And you know what? And these things, I believe these things, Kim. I believe these things. I believe these things. No, I believe these things.
In Trinidad, we have our own people. You know, before Manning left office, there was this woman. He was associated with a spiritual advisor.
Ah, Lord.
So yeah, I mean, everyone has their thing.
Yeah. I know. I don't mean to, characterize Haitians as Obeah practitioners, but really that's part of the culture, And we demonize Obeah to a great extent, but that was really a part of African culture when they came over to the New World.
Yeah.
So it was their religion. It was their religion. It was our religion. So in saying that,
was not understood, and whatever practices they were involved in, because it was not understood, it was demonized.
Demonized, yeah.
Similarly to Hinduism, and even some things of the Catholics, practices of the Catholics. You know, it is considered, okay, what is that? Because you've got Hail Mary and things like the saints and things like that. The saints are revered in such a way that you want to know who are they praying to. So I think it's a misconception, and we've got, this is in Trinidad, it's called tolerance. It's called, besides tolerance, we've grown with each other. Understand, this is people's way of worship. They acknowledge a supreme being higher than us humans.
But I have to say this, Kim, our God, Jehovah, God Almighty, he has a batting record of 1,000, and he hasn't lost a battle yet. And so all of these different cults and these different gods, from Dagon and Bel, from the ancient history to all these other gods, they've all come and they've all been chopped off. It's just that now we're dealing with the Obeah phenomenon here. And I hear people still talk about it here, like young people still talk about Obeah. Like, what do you know about Obeah? You know nothing about Obeah.
Well, in the Bahamas, when you wake up and you see a candle and some flowers on your front door, a chicken foot, a goat foot or something, it does put some kind of level of fear in you. What is this person trying to do? Oh my God,
Yeah, we love our love potions here. Our love potions are witch gods. Yeah, that's what we love here. So
in Trinidad, we have our version of it as well, and they've got the candles. So it's up with it. It's sold in normal grocery stores,
Yeah, I know. Something, that's what I want to do for LimeVibe. I want to speak to an Obeah practitioner. I want to speak to an Obeah witch doctor and to get his views on how he sees Obeah. That should be a good interview for us, Kim. I would like to interview a witch doctor. Yeah, that'd be good entertainment, because it would demystify a lot of the stuff. It would demystify a lot of the things we think about Obeah. Because, like you say, people that we've demonized it, and really it's just a form of worship. And actually, I was stunned when I read that some of the Obeah spirits, they actually align with, ancient prophets and ancient prophets out of the Bible, and ancient angels out of the Bible. So it's kind of like a syncretic mix of both Christianity and Judaism and African spiritualism. And it's just amazing that they've actually blended that throughout Africa and the Caribbean.
Yeah, certainly. In Trinidad, it's actually mixed with Hinduism as well.
Okay. Let's stop talking about these demons, though. Let's go get back to CARICOM.
Yes, we were talking about the ratification of this week's meeting in the Bahamas.
They also have a statement out as well. They're also going to, I think we spoke about this as well. They're going to have a meeting in Trinidad later on this year to talk about the crime in the region, which is a real serious issue, because now it's getting to that point where it has to be dealt with, Kim. And it's not just me, it's everywhere.
Because I believe Trinidad is the headquarters for CARICOM Impact's headquarters. Is the headquarters for that. And that their office on dealing with crime. It's the implementation agency for crime and security impacts. So that's why they would be having it here in Trinidad. And it's a joint, I think it's a joint organization with Interpol and CARICOM.
Good.
So yeah, they do need, so I think for that meeting, we might see a lot more involvement of the United States. They're interested in this transshipment zone because it comes down from America all the way to us, and it enters Latin America.
Yes. and all for drugs for the most part in the Caribbean, all for drugs. But you know something? I think if we had more investment from the United States and from Europe, we wouldn't need these drugs, you know. We wouldn't need the drug money. And it's a shame that a lot of politicians are mixed up in the drug culture as well. And it's not just, you know, the typical Jamaica or Bahamas.
Well, you know.
Pardon?
It's threats for your lives, because here,
Yes.
while some may try to be innocent as well, they hijack a lot of businesses and their containers.
Yes.
Get the money laundering because they've hijacked it and they've threatened, they're holding your family and your business to ransom if you don't adhere to them. So I mean, it's a known fact here in Trinidad that businessmen are involved, but what are they to do? They're kind of they're intimidated by it. When these drug lords from Colombia or wherever in the world call hits on your family.
Yeah. And they have no regard for human life. You really need the blood of the lamb on you when you're dealing with them. Yeah.
I really do feel for our business community and politicians, especially those who are importing goods and even exporting. So you have to consider that as well.
Yeah, that's it. So hopefully they could put their minds around a strategy that could give an intervention to some of these young men who would go that path, because they're being held by locals. It's not just international crime, international criminal syndicates. We are breeding criminals. We are breeding criminals, Kim. These young men, they need hope. They need a vision. They need somewhere to go. They need something to do with their life. If they had something to do, then the criminal element from the outside would not seep into their system. They would have an appreciation and a respect for their country. And so I hope a part of these discussions that's going to happen in Trinidad is going to be a discussion how we actually engage our young men to do better and to steer them away from the drug life and the drug culture and the crime culture and send them towards more productive endeavors like trades and school and skills and getting a job, starting a business, that sort of thing, and give them the pathway to get out of the streets. That needs to be the part of the discussion. I spoke to a former deputy commissioner of Barbados, deputy commissioner of Barbados, and Mr. Bertie Hines, and he's written several books about the crimes, what do I want to use? The crime levels in the Caribbean. Yeah, and he said that it goes all the way back to, it always goes back to drugs, always goes back to the narcotics. And in addition to that, he said that the police need to be trained a bit more with regard to identifying where these little pockets of drug subcultures are starting to pop up in these communities and eradicate it immediately and give it no quarter. But what can you do when some of the police officers themselves, they're drug dealers,
Urging it, yeah.
So it's not that easy. And I don't think his books painted to be that easy, but we have a big problem. I hope they can have that discussion in Trinidad later on this year, and they can put their minds around doing something better for the people of the Caribbean, because I hate to see places like St. Vincent and the Grenadine and Grenada that virtually have no crime. I mean, it's like a garden park in some of these countries, man. And they're having a murder every other week. That never used to happen before.
We here in Trinidad, we have at least 10 to 5 murders a day.
Yeah, wow.
And that is scary. And there are many that are not reported. You find bodies here and there ever so often.
Yeah.
There are many crimes that goes unreported, robberies, even murders in people's homes. They're breaking in and just killing you. They're stealing and they're killing you. I mean, just take what you've got to go. Why steal a father? Why murder someone's father?
Well, they say that's the ultimate fantasy of a man, to take a man's life. That's a fantasy of a man, to take a man's life.
That is, I believe that's possession by evil.
Of course it is.
For you for that to enter in someone's heart and mind to take another man's life.
But tell the truth, Kim, haven't you ever sat and fantasized about, I'm going to kill you one day. I'm going to kill my boss. I'm going to kill my, no, never? Oh God, you're lying, Kim. You're lying. You're lying. You never thought, Kim, tell the truth. You never thought, hey, that tramp over there, she's been bothering around with my boyfriend, my husband, I'm going to kill her. You never thought about that in your life, Kim?
I put that in God's hands.
Lies, Kim, lies.
Say, okay, God, you take care of that.
I'm going to tell Carrie on here telling stories on my LimeVibe podcast. I'm going to tell Carrie you're telling stories because you know that's not true. You know that's not true, Kim. We've all thought about that before.
We need to really cover what I'm safety. No, I'm not going to such things. I'm not going.
Okay, I take your word for it, Kim. All right, you're a sweet lady. You're a sweet girl. There's no malicious bone in your body, right?
Other ways I would probably get you. Like God, I will say God will deal with you. I know people that say prayers over people's head and say and in the name of Christianity as well. You know.
Yeah.
It's wrong. I just say you put them in God's hand. God, you take care of that person. Keep me in peace. Protect me, and I'll be fine.
Yeah. I agree. Put it in God's hands. I'm a praying man myself, you know, Kim. Don't mind me. I pray a lot. I get on my knees. I get on my face if I have to. You know, I don't know what happened over the last 3 years or so, but I've just changed my life around significantly, man. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I started going to church every Sunday. It got so bad one time, man, that my car was down. And my neighbor used to drop me to church, but he went to another church, and I couldn't get my other neighbor. I was surrounded by angels, man. And two of my neighbors, they got me back into going to church. And actually, I was living next door to one of my neighbors who went to the same church I went to all my life. I didn't even know, because he used to go in the morning service. I used to go in the evening service. Well, my other neighbor, he started taking me to his church. And so when my other neighbor who goes to my church saw that I started going to church with my other neighbor, he said, Yori, why don't you come to church with us? I said, okay, I'll go back to church with you guys in the mornings. And then one morning, both of them couldn't take me to church. And so I didn't have a vehicle, so I had to walk to the bus and catch the bus like a humble man. I had to catch the bus to church.
A bus on a Sunday.
Yeah, on a Sunday, I had to catch the bus. And I said to myself, you know something? After I've seen him transform my life and turn my life around, and he helped me when I actually went up to the altar and I prayed. I'll tell you, Kim, there's nothing more humbling than having to walk up in front of the congregation and tell the people in the church you have a problem, you need help. And to say that, to have them pray over you and to have it delivered that very next week, there's nothing like that, Kim. It's unexplainable. And because we believe and we see, you can't explain to somebody who hasn't been through that same experience, you know. But we believe because we see. I've been through it. I said, you know, that's something, you know something, Kim? I said, you know something? Say, God, if I have to crawl the church to you, I'll crawl the church. If I have to crawl the church, that's something I'll crawl the church. Yes, I will crawl. So when you see people in church, they're praising and they're clapping, they're dancing. That's a serious thing, Kim. They know what God has done for their lives. They know what God has done in their lives, and they know that He is love. He loves you, and He's a healer, and He's a protector, and He's a provider. He will do it. He will do it, Kim. If you ask, He will do it. You know, that's my preaching tonight. I go about talking about murdering people to praying. Yeah, I'm a weird nut, Kim. I'm a weird nut.
Conviction over here. I don't know if I hear you preaching. I think we go to turn it from LimeVibe into a crusade.
Into a crusade, yes. You're my moderating force, Kim. You're supposed to be moderating me, you know. You're not supposed to let me go off the rails, man. Anytime I start getting on the rails, you tell me. But I think, you know, something I'm glad you let me go off the rails with that rant about not rant, but that sermon about Christianity, because it's true, man. God provides. He's provided all of this for us right now. He's going to grow this for us right now, Kim. He's doing it right now. We're here together. It's an accident you and me met, and we could actually do this. I think God put us together. You know, so God's doing it, Kim.
I agree, definitely.
So now we just need for God now to start moving in Haiti, but also we need for God to start moving in Suriname. They're going through some problems now in Suriname, aren't they, Kim?
I believe there's a planned protest for tomorrow. They've been protesting for the past few days. I saw fiery bombs happening downtown in Paramaribo. I think I saw one of my friends post up that one of the digital outlets was burnt down, and that police was even forced to fire tear gas at those gathering. You know, they're protesting the how the inflationary rates have been affecting them. Yeah,
and the austerity measures as well too.
Yeah, it's really affecting them because they've devalued their dollar twice or a few times in the last few months. You know, so I think if I remember, the last it was $22 22 Suriname dollars to a US. It went up to 24, and I think it went up to 28. I'm not sure
Wow.
how it is right now.
That's madness, man.
It is affecting, the average person.
Hmm.
So that is why Chandrika Prasad Santokhi was not available.
Yes.
He is the outgoing chairman. It was rightful for him to be in Bahamas right now to
Yes,
hand
yes.
over to Prime Minister Brave. But he said he needed to stay back in order to handle local issues. He did not come out and say it though.
I see you call our Prime Minister Brave, and everyone calls him Brave. You know something funny? When he was being sworn in to be the Prime Minister, and he swearing in his new government, they actually wrote inside the document, "I, Philip Brave Davis."
Philip Brave Davis, yes. Just to remember that. It's Brave Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis. It's so hard to remember. Davis.
Yeah, I know. Everyone knows him as Brave, right? And they actually put that inside the document for him to read when he was saying his oath. "I, Philip Brave Davis." What? I laugh. I say, boy,
it's his full government name. He's entitled to. Yuri,
everyone
what's
knows
his middle name? What are they going to say? Yuri, what camp? What's in between?
Yuri Armin Camp, actually.
Armin
And
Camp.
actually, yeah, Brave Philip's Mr. Davis's middle name is Edward, so it's Philip Edward Davis. So a lot of people don't know he's Philip Edward Davis. But
Oh,
everyone is Brave.
so wait, he carries his wife's maiden name as well? Is that something normal in Bahamas?
No, she married him.
Right. So her name will be Mrs.
Anne-Marie Davis.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mrs. Anne-Marie Davis, yeah. He's Philip Davis, she's Miss Anne-Marie Davis. Yeah, she's a Trinidadian too. I told you that, right?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So yeah, but these protests in Suriname have been bubbling up for the past 2 years, actually. But if you really go back to it, there's been some activism in Suriname over the past 2 years about a lot of the other austerity measures and the fiscal measures that the Santokhi government has taken. And a lot of people have been up and down the streets for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's the subsidy with the fuel and electricity. And I think Suriname is one of the states that actually has a very low electricity rate in the region.
Yeah,
So
it's bad here.
he speaks is like, okay, wow. But when you have such inflation affecting basic goods and items, the weakening of the Suriname dollar, it speaks to it would aggravate people.
Yeah.
And he has some questions around him and his government, his governing ruling. Trinidad had the whole issue with Derek Ramsamuj. He was the political advisor, analyst that came in to assist. And I think they jailed him for some time. So he's Trinidadian.
Okay.
So, a lot of people were questioning some of his motives because I think he was a former police officer.
Yes, he is.
Hearsay on the ground, and his involvement and what he does.
Yeah.
So they're very careful as to how they speak and how they carry about themselves.
Yeah.
I know that they had some socialist roots at one point in time. So a lot of them are very quiet, but certain people are more. They're quiet and they're very nice people, and to see them up in arms and an uproar like this, it's really sad.
Yeah, it is. And actually, what spurred this one off, this recent spate of protests, where they actually stormed the parliament, Kim. I didn't even realize that they stormed the parliament and they overran the parliament because apparently 2 cabinet ministers from the Suriname National Party, which is a minority party that formed the coalition with Santokhi's Progressive Reform Party, they broke away from the Progressive Reform Party, this Suriname National Party, because 2 ministers, the Education, Science and Culture Minister, Mary Levins, and the Spatial Planning and Environment Minister, Silvano Chong Ahin, they were instructed to resign. They resigned. And so this is what actually kicked it all off. So after they resigned now, people started taking to the streets and say, something, well, the hell with it now, because they wanted some other reforms as well. And they claimed that the Santokhi side of the government was not listening to their demands and with regard to dealing with some of these economic policies. And so it's becoming a bit of a mess now. It's a bit of politics or politics, I should say. But there are some issues there in Suriname other than just the austerity measures. So this is a bit of gamesmanship as well. So we're going to see how this plays out. I hope no one gets hurt and doesn't turn into a serious protest and we end up like another situation in Haiti. But like you say, the Suriname people are very peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think it all comes. I think their financial ratings even deteriorated with Moody's. I think Moody's had recently put out something as well. So a lot to take in happening in Suriname.
Yeah. So Moody's is going around the region again, right? They're giving bad news to everybody.
Oh yeah, that's what Moody's does.
Yeah, giving bad news to everybody. Yeah, they're going to be in the Bahamas soon. Actually, give them time. Then S&P. Yeah, I know. Giving bad news. So yeah, but Suriname though, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I know that you want
to really. They haven't begun. I mean, they are also on the heels and spurs of the revolution of their oil and gas industry, right?
really.
So yeah, so they remember they're on the cusp of it, similar to Guyana. So they've got Statsoli, their state-run refinery, but they also have major oil and gas reserves that they want to tap into because of their vast fossil fuels from the Amazon as well, because part of the Amazon is there. And plus they're heavy on mining and things like that. That's their natural resources. So
why can't they?
Whoever gets into power, whoever is in power, whoever wants to get in power, their eyes are going to be on that money.
So why can't they exploit it though? I mean, they're taking a while to get it off the ground. We see what's happening with Guyana right now. And that's another thing with Guyana, because Guyana pledged $2 million for the agricultural policy here in the Caribbean. And that came out of the CARICOM meetings as well. So we're going to talk about that too, because that's been a big part of the Caribbean push over the last 2 or 3 years or so, getting an agricultural policy working for the Caribbean. So why can't Suriname exploit their natural resources like the way Guyana's doing it?
I think they were in the midst of setting up their legislative framework, and getting investors as well to come on board. Because you can't just go into it just like that. You need the support, technical support as well.
Yeah.
With Guyana, they're in the process right now of establishing their physical infrastructure. Unlike what our prime minister offered, they said, no, we want to be independent. They said, we're going to do it ourselves. They said that they were building up the island, so that would help support their natural gas reserves. I think they were in negotiating for a refinery to be established where it can put out at least 30,000 barrels of oil per day compared to the 15,000. So
I had a feeling Guyana was going to get high and mighty when they started getting the oil, I had a feeling, I saw it coming, They were going to be high and mighty in roof and standoffish, They were going to say, oh, I don't need you guys anymore. I'm not a part of the Caribbean anymore. I'm a part of Latin America now, I don't need you. I had a feeling they were going to do that. But they have been kicked around for the past, 50 years in the Caribbean?
Yeah. I mean, they were the underdogs in the Caribbean.
Yes.
When had quite a good bit of migrants leaving there. They came to Trinidad. They even went to Barbados. They have quite a community in Barbados. They migrated, just like Trinidad had quite a good bit of a brain drain, and still has a brain drain going to the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and things like that. So did Guyana. They were escaping whatever regime they were under, and they needed to get a better life. And with the value of their dollar, it was not really getting anywhere in their lives. So
no.
What did I think the Natural Resources Minister Barrett, he said that now everyone is rushing to get a Guyanese passport. They're proud of having a Guyanese passport.
Yeah, I know.
And when he said that, it's like before no one really cared to say that they were ashamed. At one point in time, we were actually ashamed.
Yeah, they were.
All of us are a little bit ashamed to say where we are from.
What a bit of oil do, eh?
Depending on the time and day of our political landscape, whatever is happening, how much are we in the headlines, and what are we in the headlines globally for?
Yeah. What a bit of oil would do, eh? But I wish them all the best, though. I just hope that they would help the Caribbean more often,
They're
because
trying very much to fight that Dutch syndrome, though, where they believe that if you get taken up with the oil and gas money, that you forget to diversify your economy. You
Yeah.
forget something else. Here in Trinidad, that's what happened with us. And most countries that hit that high oil and gas reserves and are getting that value for money there, they tend to forget the rest of their sectors. And what Irfan Ali is saying, he's trying his best, like he's selling the carbon credits. They were able to sign on $750 million for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
The carbon credit securing the Amazon, which is a key feature. And he's also trying to diversify because of the low carbon development strategy, I think, of trying to develop pharmaceuticals, because the Amazon is rich in flora that can be used in the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah. So what do you call it? Dutch disease?
Yeah, they call that Dutch disease, when you get taken up with the oil and gas money and you forget to diversify the rest of your economy. Here in Trinidad, we killed out the sugarcane industry. We forgot all about agriculture. We have a rice industry. If we really were to look into it, we can feed ourselves here in Trinidad. But you've taken the agricultural land and you've built houses. You're not supporting it. We have a pretty lasting problem here in Trinidad. Farmers do not get the support that is needed. I think this week in Trinidad, we had a joint select committee where they're talking about climate change and physical land and infrastructure. And because of all the widespread flooding that we experienced since 2017, between 2017 to 2022, only $41 million was given to all the farmers.
Really?
It's close to 5,000 farmers that were affected in their crops. And that's annually, that widespread flooding. Water didn't recede for how long? And it was just before Christmas, where people usually plant a lot of vegetables, your tomatoes, your lettuce, to sell, because Christmas time is when you get, people want their fresh produce. and it was destroyed.
But Guyana is putting up $2 billion for the agricultural policy in the Caribbean, man. Reading the statement here in my hand, it says that heads of government also discuss opportunities to spur regional agricultural growth, namely the removal of all non-tariff barriers to regional trade and agriculture, produce, de-risking of the sector, digitization, research and development, and review of the common external tariff. Leaders also received the project Building Food for Security Through Innovation, Resilience, Sustainability, and Empowerment, quote unquote, from the president of Guyana, and accepted that government's pledge of a US $2 billion towards financing and implementing this project. Wow. So they're throwing their money around. That's good. They have the oil and they're throwing it around. So, but he's been a staunch supporter of this agricultural policy, Irfan Ali.
What is it he said towards the common external tariff?
They said that heads of government also discussed opportunities to spur regional agricultural growth, namely the removal of all non-tariff barriers to regional trade and agriculture produce, de-risking of the sector, digitization, research and development, and the review of the common external tariff. They want a review of the common external tariff.
So yeah, because that is how that impacts how we import produce and products outside of CARICOM.
Yeah.
And trying to emphasize, hey, we need to look inside of our member states to get what we need. And that really is a collective effort. They need to really put that together as a collective effort.
Yeah. So we got to be mindful of our crawfish and our fish produce, our fisheries. Yeah. So hopefully they get that sort of. But guys put up $2 million. Usually they would be the recipient of $2 million from somebody. They're putting up $2 million.
But Dr. Ali, he's the chairman of agriculture, that quasi cabinet.
Yes. He's here as well too. Yeah, that's good. Irfan Ali's a good guy, man. Spend that money, Irfan Ali, President Ali, spend that money. Make it rain, make it rain for agriculture. Yes, because I like when leaders take the initiative and actually don't just talk about it, they actually put some action into it, And this is what you need, They set out a policy, they put out a framework, and they're actually doing something about it. Just like the Bridgetown Initiative, they set out a policy, they put a framework around it, and now they're doing something about it. That's good. So hopefully they'll do something about Haiti too, and the crime situation in the region. So hopefully this meeting wasn't a waste. how we thought it would be. Hopefully, it's actually going to produce some tangible results at the end of the day, and I hope it does. You know.
Yeah, we look forward to see what's going to happen there in Haiti. We look forward to see changes in agriculture or food produce. I know so far we established that I think they were getting cassava and things like that from Guyana and Trinidad, and they're sending it. What needs to be fixed, obviously, is the transport. You can have all these goods coming in and then it's sitting in your port and what's happening there.
Okay.
And,
So now the hullabaloo is over here. We can go back to our regular traffic in the Bahamas. Yeah, man. 4 o'clock
Friday
in the
night, I'm sure it's still buzzing in Nassau. It's still buzzing there because everyone's going to be in the after party.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Party at Atlantis or Bahama, I bet you.
That's
So
usually how it is.
I think that's why Trudeau and John Kerry came to this CARICOM meeting. They wanted to come to Bahama and Atlantis. They wanted to see how these palatial resorts are, and they're really beautiful, you know.
I wouldn't doubt it if they already hopped back on their jet and you know already
Went back to their business, yeah.
whatever, you know.
They're busy, man, and I can appreciate that.
Friday night and Caribbean is all lifestyle is Friday night. You relax, you go to the bar,
Yeah,
or
go to the pub.
water pool and sit down. It's
Certainly
carnival, so everyone will be partying and fetting till the morning. They usually have breakfast fets starting 3 a.m. and it goes till 10 a.m.
A breakfast fest.
Yeah, so it starts like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I love it.
Well, I mean, where I live, it's not too far. They usually come to the Brand Lara Stadium to have those fets. Last week there was one and it caused traffic until the evening time.
Wow.
A fet that finished 10 a.m. caused traffic until 2 p.m.
Wow.
They were
I could
crossing
deal with
the
that.
highway. They parked all over. It was busloads of people, and it was chaotic.
I would have had road rage. I would have gone out and walked, you know.
Yeah, they walked and they ran across the highway where they parked. You see?
Yeah, that's what you do. No, I can take that.
It's 100 per hour, you know, 100 kilometers per hour. And, you know, if you're going at that speed, someone got knocked down on our highway this morning.
They passed away?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Sorry to hear that, man.
And that should not be done. We should not be encouraging that. It begs the question, where was our policing services at the time? You know, you're supposed to be allowing these things, traffic services. The traffic wardens are usually out Monday to Friday. They hardly ever out Saturday or Sunday. But we've got
light fines for vehicular manslaughter.
What's that?
Do they have light fines and light criminal penalties for vehicular manslaughter?
Yes. We have fines. You can either post bail and things like that, but you can go to jail for it.
We virtually have nothing here for vehicular manslaughter. Actually, you could knock somebody down right now and get away with it, and while having to spend any time in jail. It's funny, isn't it? You get out right now in your car in the Bahamas. You out and knock somebody down cold blooded right in the middle of the streets, and you probably will only get like a fine, maybe 6 months in jail if you get 6 months. The penalties are really that light here. They need to change the laws, man.
Recently, we implemented some very strict laws when it comes to demerit points on your license. So if you break a law, and if you commit a vehicular traffic offense, you get some demerit points, and you can even lose your license for a period of time. No one wants to lose their license to drive here.
Do you guys have a lot of texting while driving?
We don't have that. You're not allowed to be on your cell phone while driving.
But do people still do it?
Yes. This evening, I ventured out and I saw he was pulling out, and it's like he has his cell phone, and it's right on a major thoroughfare. It's right on a major junction because all the fast food outlets are right there. And he's pulling out, and that's where usually the police are. You know, the police are usually out there looking for things like that. So he was lucky that no blue lights was coming down the street stretch that time.
Yeah, I saw an accident like that about last week sometime. A lady was coming down the street by work, and the guy was coming towards the other cross section. She was on the phone, And she was like, the phone, like, woman, you're driving a 2,000 pound, a 2,000 pound weapon,
Okay,
a
yeah.
2,000 pound weapon. You can't be that's like text. It's like ridiculous. And the fellow was coming out of the corner, right? And he was a utility workman as well. And so, he was busy trying to get this job, right? And so she was there, man. How could you not see the man coming out of the corner? You were busy texting. She there. How could you do it? How did they do it, Kim? Why would you be texting? Like, why would you be texting and driving? Why would you do that?
Blatant disregard for the people you're sharing the road space with.
You're crazy, man. You can't see the road while you're texting. I had a girlfriend used to do that all the time as well. She used to be like, we used to be on the airport road, and the airport road is a long, stretchy road, right? All roads into the airport, they're long and they're winding and they're very, very straight because they have to be away from everything. So, and she's there, and she's looking at me in the corner. I say, Miss, could you put your phone down, please? Could you put your phone down, please? At least let me drive, because I don't text and drive, right? So please let me drive.
Yeah.
Like, these people are crazy, man.
One thing I don't do.
Right? You women are the worst offenders of driving. I blame you women. You women.
No.
I saw a lady putting on her mascara, putting on her eyeliner inside the car while she was driving. Miss, how are you doing that? How are you doing that? She's there.
No way. When you're stuck in traffic, not moving, yeah, you can take a chance putting on your lipstick and mascara.
No, she was driving. She was going about, I would say, what, 15, 20? And she's there. How are you doing that, miss?
Traffic for us, yeah, you can do that. If you're stuck in traffic, stand still. Yeah, not moving.
See, listen to you. Say, put it on my traffic at standstill, right?
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with actually waiting till you get to your destination, stopping in the parking lot for about 5 minutes and doing your makeup in the parking lot? What's wrong with that?
Traffic in Trinidad takes you, so if you leave home 5 a.m. from San Fernando to Port of Spain, it's 2 hours in traffic. You're going to reach there probably 7:30. I'm not eating breakfast because I'm going to watch just that long route stuck in traffic. I'm going to put on my makeup. If I'm heading to a press conference, I'm not all the time I'm showing up in my office. I'm heading to a press conference. I need to look decent. Just put on a quick mascara, swipe a lipstick.
So your lateness is going to cause everybody else some problems on the streets. Your lateness, your lack of planning is going to kill someone in the streets because you want to put mascara in the car.
If you live in a country where you face 2 to 3 hours of traffic, and sometimes it can go up to 4, and you're late for work. Can you imagine leaving home, getting up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and leaving home by 5 or even 4:30, and being stuck in traffic till 7:30, and you're not even in the office yet? You're not even halfway or 3/4 way to your workplace. It's frustrating. That's traffic in Trinidad for you.
Wow. Amazing. That's like traffic in the United States. We complain about our half-hour traffic, but you guys sound like you have a problem, man.
That's awful.
Yeah. But is it because everything is centralized in Port of Spain that you have to leave from San Fernando?
Yep.
So why don't they put more satellite offices in San Fernando and some of the other Tulapun and some of the major cities and countrysides?
They were trying to how you call it, decentralize some of these services, but that's long term because you've got the office of the Prime Minister, cabinet, your central business district. Everything is in Port of Spain, and it will take a good bit of culture because we've seen at least 2 ministries have moved to central Trinidad. That's Ministry of Agriculture and I think Ministry of Tertiary Education. Some of their offices have moved. You've got branches elsewhere, but the main thing is still in Port of Spain.
Okay. Fair enough.
And as a reporter, all the press conferences are happening up north, so you've got to up there
in Port of Spain. So, Kim, that's an hour went by just like that, Kim. Can you believe that? We had fun tonight, though. We had a lot to talk about, though.
Yeah.
So how's your week looking, though? How was your week, though?
My week was, it was fairly okay. It's going into the weekend.
Yeah.
So we have 2 days, Monday and Friday. It's not an official public holiday, but we hope, if you're not working as a reporter covering carnival on the streets, you're free.
That's
Don't
good
consider
feedback.
going to the beach though. It's going to be jam-packed going to the beaches here in Trinidad.
Okay.
So at home it is.
So I got a few things this weekend myself, actually. I'm going to a regatta with my cousin. I went to a regatta early on this year with us. I'm going back again to another regatta on Montague. There were also some other options about my old school, my old high school, St. John's, are having their Mardi Gras festival this Saturday as well. As well as we have the Greek Fest this Saturday as well. I'm going to go to the regatta with my cousin again because I enjoyed the regatta, and plus it's free. I don't have to pay to get in there, right? So that's going to be fun. I'm also going to try archery this Sunday, Kim. I'm going to try my hand at archery. Yeah. So in between this and studying, doing my other interviews for the LimeVibe podcast, I'm going to try archery for the first time. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it, man. That's going to be my new hobby, archery. Yeah, the new William Tell. So Kim, is there any final thoughts while we say goodbye?
I wish you all the best, and I look forward to seeing the pictures of your adventures this weekend.
Yes. Thank you, Kim. I will share on my WhatsApp. I don't have a Facebook. I'll share on my WhatsApp. So here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. This is Yori Kemp from the LimeVibe podcast, bidding you good night. And I'll see you again on Monday night for LimeVibe Live. If you haven't done so, subscribe to our YouTube channel, LimeVibe 7, Facebook, LimeVibe 7.